This week on Zen and Not Zen, Bro Time Edition.
I was working at Jillian's, and down the street there was a bar that we used to drink at. And we were pretty much regular there. They would come and drink at our bar when they got off and vice versa.
Yeah.
And so me and my chef were at that bar. And at that point in time, I drank a lot of Captain Morgan's. Right? I was just drank a lot of Captain and Sprites.
What an Captain mixed. What a dick.
I hope mixed.
No, separate. I like to have my Captain. I like the pure taste.
Sprite chaser?
That's a very good point.
Yeah,
I was like, I made him sound even worse.
That's actually probably not a bad little beach drink, though.
Yeah. Only on private stock I would drink it separate.
Yeah.
Oh,
God.
private stock. That shit isn't even really that much better.
No,
I think it was like harsher, if I remember correctly.
So me and my chef were sitting there. We polished off at least like a half bottle of Captain, and ordered another round, and they were out. And so I'm like, well, that won't do, because at that time I'm like, that's all I drink. I don't drink beer. I don't drink Bacardi.
Oh, I hate that. It's like, as a guy who drank Jameson like pretty much exclusively, it's like, no, I could switch gears real fucking easily.
Yeah.
Well, I would have if I wasn't down the street from the bar that I worked at. So I called. I'm like, hey, do you guys cool if I just like bring a bottle over, and when you get your liquor order, you'll bring it back? And he was like, yeah, that's fine. So I had one of the bussers go in the liquor room, get a bottle of Captain, and run it over to the bar we were at.
Oh
and give
my
it to them.
God.
It sat there, and then we drank pretty much the entire bottle of that.
Bro time.
Bro time.
Bro
time. My first table came in, it was two British guys, and I always get excited when British people come in because I was like, I don't really even care if you're an asshole. I just like your accent or whatever.
The standard for food is going to be so exceptionally low.
Yeah, totally.
Peel the plastic off the Hungry Man platter.
So these two guys come in, and they were super nice, and we kind of get to chatting, and they sit at one of our big four tops, but there's only two of them, but I like them so much. I'm like, fuck, I sit there and bringing them wine, and I was like, are you in town for, like, work or fun? And they kind of look at each other, and they're like, well, you know, we're here today, and then we're going to California, and then we're going here, and then we're ending up in New York and Boston. And I was like, oh, fun. And they're like, yeah, we got a gig later. And they kept saying gig. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to ask them. And they were there for 5 hours. They were my first table. They did not leave until 4:30.
Fuck.
And they had 4 bottles of wine, which my own fault. I probably should not have given them that
Holy
last bottle of
shit.
wine. Two guys had
wine?
4 bottles of wine.
During
but
the day.
To be fair.
It is interesting how during the day it seems like, for whatever reason, it's like...
Well, and it was rainy.
They're fucking hammered, but it's during the day, so nobody really notices.
And they told me, they're like, we flew in this morning.
Sneaky.
They're like, God damn. And I was like, you just missed really great weather. And they're like, yeah, we told it. And they were going to Demetria's later that night for a show to go as an audience. Yeah, go to Jazz Alley. And so I think they were just like, you know, Europeans, like, they sit and drink. And in my brain, when I brought the 4th bottle out, I was like, oh no. oh no. But anyway, so we get to talking, and they kept saying gig, and then after the 3rd bottle, one of the guys waves me over. He's like, hey, do you know that guy Jeff Garland? And I was like, yeah, Kirby. He was like, yeah, my wife had a really unsavory encounter with her. And I was like, who the fuck are you guys? Like, I was like, what do you guys do? And they're like, I was like, are you in a band? And they go, yeah. And I go, are you playing Seattle? And they're like, yeah, we're playing tomorrow night. I go, where are you playing? They go, WAMU. And I go, what's the band's name? And they go, Madness. They are the Our House guy. Our House.
Yeah, totally.
No shit.
Wow.
And so it's the saxophone player and the trombone player from fucking Madness
Fuck yeah,
that
man.
I got fucking hammered last night. And they and then we were talking about concerts, and I was telling them about
brass in that band.
it's all brass, dude. It's like fucking ska. And I was like, I felt like an asshole too, because I was like, they were like Madness, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I know that.
Our House was Crowded House.
Our
House.
In the middle of the street.
Are we talking about the same thing?
Yeah, no, trust me, because after this whole encounter, I felt like an asshole. I looked him up.
Tight.
So it's those guys, and so they're like, well, if you're British, you know Madness. Like, they were like quintessential British band. I was like, oh, and then we started talking about Joni Mitchell, and he told me that he played saxophone, and I was like, oh, I play saxophone, and so we started talking about jazz artists, and he goes, why don't you come to the show tomorrow? Are you working? And I go, no. He goes, great, we're gonna put you on the guest list. Anybody else want to come? And so me and Sarah are gonna go. And I forgot that Mandy and I agreed to go to the Storm game tonight because Caitlin Clark's in town. Yeah. So we're going to the Storm game, but I was like, well, the Storm games usually wrap up like within an hour and a half, like they're really fast. So I think I'm just going to try to go to both. But they were like, well, we'll WhatsApp you, we'll text you, and I haven't heard from them. And they had 4 bottles of wine. And I was like, are these dudes even going to remember that they invited us? And so I was like, do I just show up to WAMU and be like, I'm on the guest list?
Right.
Like
I've done that.
Does it work?
I've been on guest
Yeah.
list,
So
but
I was gonna ask you, like, where do you just go to will call?
I would go to will call.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were you on a
I'm
guest
just gonna
list
shoot
for?
my shot and
I've gotten will call. I was on guest list for guest list. It was that Allison Chains Tsunami benefit show like 17 years ago.
Okay.
It was
Yeah.
the guy I took bass lessons from.
Yeah,
His band was opening.
Cool.
But then I've been on will. I've gotten like comp tickets through record stores. In which we had to go through will call.
All right.
Probably that.
Okay.
The time in which I was like talking to some guy in a clipboard, it was a club show,
right?
And that was when and that was funny because I guess the other guy in the band put like everybody and his grandmother on the fucking guest list. So when
and I was like, how many other people did these drunk asses invite yesterday?
So
They're like, I can't let anyone
in. The funniest shit was the guy Andy who, bless his heart, put me on the guest list. Like I was his one person.
Right.
The lead singer probably put like fucking 20 people.
Yeah.
So like when I went there and I was like, yeah, I'm on Children of the Revolution's guest list. The guy's like, huh? Then he like looked at it and then he like pulls me to the side and he's like, what band? And I named it again because again, this was the opening band. This wasn't like fucking saying Alice in Chains or Sir Mix-a-Lot or any. There's a lot of fucking hitters there, so it was just kind of like, this guy's not lying.
Yeah, right.
Dude, yeah. However, that's a fucking rough day if you go from Climate Pledge downtown to Wanu.
I know. Well, it actually might work out better because I'm gonna leave early from the game before everybody gets out because it's sold out tonight, and so I didn't want to like.
Fever's gonna get. Well, actually, I don't know.
The Storm has not been.
They're what 1-3.
Yeah, they're not doing great right now, but they're rebuilding, so it's gonna probably take a couple years. But yeah, I'm fully invested in the WNBA now. I got the WNBA League Pass on my TV. I'm watching all the games and stuff. My favorite team are the Aces, even though they're from Las Vegas.
Dominant.
But like, I love the Storm, hometown team. But like the Aces, I fucking love everyone on the Aces.
They're a much better team.
They are, but all the girls are just fun, and I love the coach. They're just kind of like
Kelsey Plum.
Fucking love Kelsey Plum. Asia Wilson.
Has the WNBA made a statement about that Kansas City Chiefs dumb shit kicker that
Harrison Butker?
Oh, if they have, I haven't heard it.
I saw the NFL made a statement that was like,
we're gonna let him handle it.
He can do him.
Yeah,
we're not gonna. We're not gonna.
Did you see what Patrick Mahomes said about him? It was an interview from like 2017 that it was going around TikTok again, and one of the guys was interviewing him about Harrison, and Patrick Mahomes goes, "I don't talk to Harrison all year. I will sit next to the guy in a meeting, and I don't say a word to him. Like he's like, I just let Harrison do Harrison, and he didn't say anything about him. But this was like years before it happened.
Yeah.
So like I feel like everyone kind of already knew, and they're like, hey, I talked to him on the field, I talked to him in team meetings, but I don't speak to him before or after the season. Like
he's like that guy that comes up to you in the locker room. Is like, have you heard about Jesus?
Oh yeah, but Harrison, we gotta get out of here.
We talked about God.
Fucking
like,
asshole.
Oh fucking hell! Just go kick the ball, man.
Well, here's my take on it. I found out that he went to one of Mike Pence's conversion therapy camps.
Oh.
So I feel I'm not gonna say bad for him.
Yeah.
But I see him
conversion, like pray away the gay kind of shit.
Damn,
yeah.
Mike Pence used to do that shit.
He has multiple. Yeah, he has.
Oh
multiple
no
camps.
fucking shit.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't a fan.
So
Sorry,
he got sent to one of them.
O'Douls.
So I see him trying to double down on his like really the lady doth protest too much. Like I see him working really hard.
Yeah.
So I'm less angry about it, and I'm more, my heart is a little pained for him.
I didn't know that layer.
I didn't know that either,
tough.
and then I found out, and I was like, it's not an excuse, but like this guy is
but it
clearly
adds context
not
to the story.
Yeah. So
it's like that. I saw a video recently of that. It was a not famous, but internet famous video, the viral video that went around a while back about that. It was a black guy in a church setting that went to a conversion and like became straight, I guess. Right. And he's out there. He's like, I love women. I don't love the men. No, and it was like a follow-up interview with him, and he was still drinking the Kool-Aid. Mm-hmm. But it like even then, when I saw the initial video years ago, and then this follow-up video, it looks like somebody's holding a gun to his face.
Totally.
Even though there's nobody around him, he's for speaking quote unquote in his free will. But man, I
found that out, and then I kind of rewatched it, and it just made my heart hurt a little bit. Because like at the end of the day, like I didn't do that level of shit, like, but I did the same thing in high school, and I was like, well, if I'm not going to go to hell, so I'm going to be the best Christian ever, and I'm going to judge everyone who's not Christian, and I'm going to, really double down on this. So it's like I get a little, I feel for the guy. Plus, he's a nerd that no one probably likes on his team either. So it's just like,
Hey man, motherfucker gets. I'm not defending him, but that motherfucker flies on the plane. He gets the per diem. He
he's
does
doing
all
alright.
the same shit, doing fucking
well, his mom's
just fine.
like a fucking physicist. Like
That's what I've
she's
heard,
like
yeah.
a really. And then I'm like, I want to respect her, but I was like, well, who sent him to conversion therapy?
Right.
So,
Yeah,
you know, there's a whole dynamic there I don't really want to get into with that family, but like,
Yeah.
it's just sad all the way around.
Yeah.
It's sad that he thinks that. It's sad that he used that platform for that time, but he also got a round of applause.
We're not. Yeah, that's the
Well,
other
you know what I
thing.
mean?
is,
So-
like,
So
that was the
yeah.
other
It
thing.
wasn't like
is,
he was at fucking UW.
Right.
I was-
He was
Yeah,
at
I was
fucking
gonna-
Catholic college.
I was gonna bring that up. Is like, yeah, it's like I think it's important to note that like. There's not really vitriol for the university. It's like, hey, let's have fucking
Yeah.
Senor Herpaderp come up and give a speech.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
So
killed it
that's-
in their eyes.
So that was the other thing, and it's like also all the outrage was just people like us, you know,
Yeah, and
watching the
that's-
video. It's not like
Right.
he wasn't getting fucking booed.
No,
And
yeah.
that's a great point. Like I wasn't invited to that school. I don't have a child going to that school. I don't have any relation.
I don't honestly give
And
a
that-
fuck.
No.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that. I mean, that's it. It does add to the context of like, hey, man, you're entitled to have whatever thoughts you want.
If
right?
I listen to a commencement speech at any, I assume that's a religious school. At
Yeah,
any
it
It's a
was
Catholic.
yeah, it
At
was a
any
Catholic.
religious school, I'm like, cool. Well, that's
Well, there's two reactions to a speech like that. There is a fuck you, I'm gonna show you, or I'm gonna still
Right.
do my thing, and it's a hell yeah, I'm on your side. And that speech isn't convincing the others, like convincing anyone
Yeah,
either
well, I
way.
mean, it's just
So
kinda more
it's just like if
polarizing.
you heard that speech and you thought I'm validated, you were already on that life path.
Right,
and if
yeah.
you weren't validated, if I was at that college and I heard that, it would bum me the fuck out, but it's not going to affect anything I do in my life.
Yeah.
It's going to make me roll my eyes. It might make me write an email to school, but like, I'm not going to fucking change my life path or feel pressured.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm probably going to piss myself or present company off when I bring this up. I think it was Seattle U or SPU very recently was a lot of their students were staging walkouts because of
Yeah, the
private
homophobic.
private religious school was
Yeah.
having a less than progressive stance on, trans or lesbian,
Yeah.
and it's like, again, not excusing it, but it's like, cool, it's a private religious fucking
Yeah.
school. It's like,
If I'm going to BYU, I'm not going to be
Like,
openly welcome.
well, and that's kind of my fucking point is
Yeah.
like, what are we fighting about here?
Right.
Like, now, if we're talking about University of Washington or anything that's publicly funded, and we can also separation of church and state's
Yeah.
eroding.
Right.
But, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, this is a private religious school. I'm not going there for fucking that. I'm going for, like,
Yeah.
literally faith and education.
Right. If I heard that kind of shit at any other public college or something like that,
Yeah.
I would be enraged
So-
that you let someone come on
Right.
here. But if I'm at Benedictine fucking Catholic college and the speaker is saying that there's a whole demonic month dedicated to gay pride, I'm gonna be like, yeah, that's on track for them.
Holy
like,
shit, that is what he said. Yeah, I forgot about
he
that.
goes, and
yeah.
not the kind of pride that is a
Yeah.
whole demonic month attached to it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my god, but yeah, that if a speech like that was gonna happen, it's gonna happen at a school like that.
That's a great point. And that does run the risk of like it's the whole free speech kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know? And it's
Oh,
like
yeah,
there's
yeah.
as much, and that's also saying like that your way is clearly right in all ways,
Right.
right? And that's subjective, right? And that's where it gets kind of sticky and kind of hard, right?
Well,
and
I
to
haven't
your
figured
point,
everything
too,
out. I smoke a lot of guns, man.
Well, I know. And
Yeah.
we all got our things. We all
Yeah.
got our coping mechanisms. We all got our ways of thinking. But in the for a lot of people that may think that they are right 100% of the time, right?
Yeah.
And so, but that being said, to your point, this is private areas, and so many people right now. I think one of the issues that is plaguing just a lot of us is that we feel entitled to our offenses.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Right?
like,
I'm
It's like-
tired
I
of
feel this
fighting
way.
with bigots.
Right. If
Because
you're offended by something, that's
Cool.
hey man, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not like the whole snowflake idea, but at the like we can't bubble wrap the world. There's 8.5 billion people in here that have 8.5
Yeah.
billion
Yeah.
different.
You're gonna
fucking
have
opinions.
assholes in there. It's just if you
Yeah.
care that much about it, instead of fighting against, you need to fight. Not even fight. You need to just go harder on what you believe and just double down on that track because it don't work.
Right.
It don't work.
think
Trying to get them to see your point.
Not excusing Harrison Butker again, but I think it's also in this age where everything is filmed. How many fucking backwards ass commencement speeches were said by how many half-cocked governors, senators, mayors, local
little ladies
leaders
out there,
just fucking saying the most
heinous
backward,
shit.
just fucking Salem witchcraft shit.
Yeah.
You know, but we don't have video of that in high def with his face right fucking there.
Well-
and so even subtitled, so if it's muted and you're just scrolling, you're watching him say, like, oh, that's pretty easy.
Did you fucking see the Thomas Jefferson graduation that went viral? This woman
God, no.
mispronounced every white person's name. So it was like Sarah Johnson, and it was like Sarah Joe Hun Son.
purpose.
Like, it was hilarious, and she was reading.
So it was like Aaron, but
Well, it was like a Key and Peele sketch.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it was that Key and Peele sketch. So everything on the card was spelled
man.
out phonetically, and she was mispronouncing the phonetic, even though the name was above it. Like, you could have just read Sarah Johnson or whatever. And the other one was they mispronounced the guy Thomas at Thomas Jefferson University. Like, if you haven't watched it, it's fucking hilarious. But it wasn't like one or two names. She just kept going the entire thing, and it's just families at home watching the Zoom graduation of their kids and just going, "What the fuck is happening?"
that's good.
I
But
love that.
yeah, it was fucking great. If you haven't watched it, it's Thomas Jefferson. It was really good.
Commencement, I can
Yeah.
just find that.
man.
Oh yeah, that'll be good. That'll be good. use
I've
of
never
time.
had to sit through a commencement speech. Well, I actually know my oldest daughter.
They're terrible.
graduated.
It's terrible shit.
I'd
terrible.
rather have something like that happen and keep me
Yeah.
entertained for the 3 hours before the S's
man.
come.
Yeah, I was sick at mine, but like, you know, the UW one was a fucking waste of time, and
Yeah.
I even called my parents, who I never even saw, at it, and I told them to just get out of there.
Yeah.
Like, avoid the traffic.
You don't even get your diploma then.
No, you don't get shit.
You
there.
get it
Yeah.
mailed to you. It's
exactly.
just
And, like,
performative.
they didn't even announce my name or
No.
anything like that. It was just, you know, I didn't fucking whatever. But
Yeah.
it was like,
At least you're a G. You're kind of right in the middle. I gotta
fuck,
wait.
even
I
if
gotta
my
wait
name
through
was
all
Aaron
of them.
Aronson, they didn't even announce Aaron's name.
Oh God.
Yeah, Robin, you are a G.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
geez.
sure.
I listened to a podcast this morning on the way here, and it was I found this new one called Big Brains. It's kind of cool. They're like 30-minute podcasts about like different ways of thinking of shit. And they were talking about, they had this person on talking about personalized AI law. And so how law can be like personalized to you as a person based off of like, you know, certain whatever qualifiers and shit. And the entire time he was talking, he was very positive in the way he presented his whole thing. He wrote a book about it. But the entire time he was talking, I'm like, no, God, no, please, no. But
Fucking Sarah Connor, bro.
Yeah.
totally right. Every fucking terrible thing that I could think of was going through my head, like Terminator movies,
Yeah.
what's going on in China.
It's
all that
getting
shit.
there.
But I think he said everything nice to say at the very end, like, I don't fully support this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are a lot of things we got to figure out. There's a lot of ways this can go sideways. But he was talking about things from like, you know, personalized, speeding ticket charges and shit like that. You know, parking tickets and stuff like that. You know, I'm like, damn, dude. Just all based off algorithms.
Well, and also
you
the
know?
face recognition stuff that's happening with like even
Yeah.
global entry at the airport. Like you
Right.
have to get like there's just all kinds of shit where it's just a very slippery slope.
So flying out of fucking Phoenix, which again I enjoyed that airport quite a bit, but flying out, going through TSA pre-check, and I'm not sure if this was through general screening, and this has happened to me in international shit involving customs, but scanned your ID on a machine. And then just she's going off that.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, they don't
Oh,
look at
interesting.
anything.
I've
So
seen that
two
yet.
people in line. One wasn't supposed to be in the line, but the other person's like, "This is the only ID I have. I'm sorry, I don't fucking look like that."
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's tough.
Yep.
So they did that, and then I brought a full fucking big thing of liquids through the fucking thing, no problem. So like again, I don't understand like a fucking full
Well, the
water
thing with
bottle.
Arizona too, the IDs don't expire. So like the
Yeah,
same
oh, yeah,
so
right.
you could have technically you could have a driver's license at 40 if I was still in Arizona, and it would still have my 16-year-old picture on it because they don't expire for
man.
50,
50
years.
years.
60
Yeah,
years.
my buddy from
So
high
if they're
school
going
had
off
one.
that fucking picture, I don't look like my picture anymore. But
Well,
I
that,
don't.
and if
But
you like have a gender change or you have like
yeah,
anything that happens,
literally
like, I get a fucking
anything.
Mike Tyson tattoo. All of
Yeah.
a sudden, like,
Yeah.
that's
Uh-huh.
fucking crazy.
But yeah, thank God they let you with the liquids. Shout out
Yeah.
Sky Harbor.
Fuck,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. So I'm bringing a fucking like vape cartridge back through the fucking TSA, and then I'm just sitting there like, that water bottle is fucking full.
Yeah, I hate that feeling.
Like I'm just sitting there like, Jesus Christ, Robin, get your shit together.
Do
like,
they even
not-
have the big MRI machines there? I can't remember. Like the ones
Like
you
the
step through at the
zzzz?
SeaTac? Yeah. Or is
I
it just metal
don't
detector?
remember. I think it was just metal. It was
Yeah, I
metal
think they're not
detector.
quite up there yet.
So that's the other thing, and as I was, trying to figure out a good way to bring fucking flour somewhere, I was like,
That's so hard,
googling
man.
shit. But it's just like one thing that makes it confusing is there's no standard. There's a standard ideal, but like
There isn't a
there's,
standard.
like,
Every airport's different.
Every airport can't doesn't have room, let alone fucking the money to put in those ones that are debatable as to whether or not they're even good for you to fucking do anyway.
Right, yeah.
I haven't
Well-
had to walk through mine since I've had pre-check. They usually just shuffle me through the metal detector now,
you
so
do
I don't
metal
have to do those
detector,
anymore.
Still
still
take
need
my
to get
belt
that
off just to
pre-check.
make it easier. But
Dude,
yeah,
it's the best.
Well,
totally
didn't they
worth it.
just federally downgrade cannabis to like level 3?
I don't
or
know if that's
something?
actually happened yet, but
Okay.
Sleepy Joe is working on that. I hope that fucking works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shit,
Well, my
I don't
question
think he's
about-
gonna get. Honestly, if he could wave a magic wand, I don't think legalizing pot, even if he wanted to, would help him.
No,
You know what I mean?
yeah, nothing's gonna make up for choices that he's made in the last 6 months or whatever.
Well, yeah,
This
that
election's
and
gonna be
there's-
interesting.
Well, there's
'cause-
this. I mean, at this point, I think, fucking, the opposition's kind of cultish in their loyalty to that gentleman.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what scares me is that
80%
we're
said they'd still vote for him regardless of the fucking trial outcome. It's like, okay,
Totally.
cool. Like, it's like, well,
so he's not losing any votes
no,
regardless
he's
of what's
losing-
happening.
He's losing 1 out
But
of 5.
Biden
in
is
theory.
losing votes because people care about certain issues.
Yeah.
Israel and Palestine being one of them.
Right.
So you have this young generation refusing to vote for Biden. They're not going to vote for Trump. They're probably not going to vote in the election. So what that says to me is that we're going to get another Trump because you're either going to eliminate those voters that are going to vote
Well,
for
yeah,
Biden.
those are the young voters.
Because
that-
there's no other choice,
Right.
Well,
right?
yeah.
Like,
the short-sightedness of that is that's that same jaded generation that was 12 to 14 when fucking Trump got elected and Hillary shit the bed with her campaign.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess their solution is to basically do it again.
But
Yeah.
what's so
I'm not saying vote for RFK.
yeah, no, and,
Yeah.
and that's so. But this
Marianne Williamson.
and I don't know the answer to this question, but I don't think the answer is fuck off. You chose not to play, but. What do we say to all those people that chose not to vote because it didn't fucking matter one way or the other? They're getting fucking shit on.
Right.
Do we all tell them, fuck off, sorry, you don't get the bitch because you didn't play the game? There's got to be a different answer to that. Because
yeah.
I get that. We talked about that a couple weeks ago.
I mean, I've had that conversation with my dad.
Yeah.
Like, he's not registered to vote. I've talked
Right.
about it before, like, because he don't want to do jury duty. So he's never voted a day in his life. And I
Yeah.
was like, you don't get to
Oh,
complain
fuck,
about
good
anything.
for you, mister. Yeah, that's a
And I-
smart move.
You don't
Well,
get to complain.
and I get the.
Blows
That's literally
ass.
the only. He's like, that's the only reason I've never registered to vote.
So I just read this about Ohio State University is did you sign up for selective service when you were like fucking 18 or whatever?
I can't
do
tell
you-
you what I did. the
do you
other
know what
day,
I'm talking
man.
about,
No,
though?
I have no idea what that is.
So like I did, but like so they don't
It's
do
like,
the
that's not military shit.
yeah,
is it?
so it is, but it's not the draft.
Oh, then
so
I
it's
definitely
like
didn't do
yeah,
that.
yeah. So it's fucking weird. It's fucking weird. I don't remember the way it was, but basically you cannot sign up for it, but basically it's kind of whatever the fuck, But Ohio State University will charge people in Ohio out-of-state tuition if they're not signed up for that.
huh?
That's
Yeah.
bullshit.
Fuck
Yeah.
Ohio, man.
Wow, man.
I mean, aren't they down
Fuck.
with fucking corn? Isn't that their thing? Or is that Iowa?
And like,
Iowa.
not giving women's rights to their body. There's a lot of shit going
Go to
on.
Ohio?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
Right, oh, shit. Illinois is the one that's progressive.
yeah. Well, Yeah.
it's just like
You
Chicago.
gotta go
and shit like
Chicago.
that,
Yeah, because you have a huge.
yeah, that's a tough one, but.
Really, Ohio, huh?
But the no voting thing. I mean, again, like I don't think we're gonna solve the problem here. But like, how do we talk to these young folks or the people not even young, the people that are just so disenfranchised now? They're just like, I don't want to fucking play. It's a lot of it, like I can see the argument of like, well, fuck it off, but that seems like the easy way out.
I also think it's just the wrong conversation because we're trying to treat a broken leg with a Band-Aid at the end of
Right.
the game.
Right.
Like, we need to be talking more about the electoral college, our democracy, our vote. Like, there are so many things wrong that, like, to put the blame on people at, like, on every 4 years I feel like we're coming in late to the party complaining about how it's set up, but we're not contributing on how it's set up at all for decades and decades.
Didn't even
and
bring
we only
any
care
fucking
right at the
plates.
fucking very end, and it's just like, now it's too late, dude. So I almost don't. I get where people are coming from, but I also think the conversation is incorrect. That what we're having is like, well, and I feel the same way. It's like, what do we do? But it's not waiting until a presidential election to figure it out.
Right. Well, I heard somebody speaking that was much smarter than myself, but this is the point they were making was, like government is one of the things that hasn't been updated in so long.
Right.
There's so many better ways that we have to communicate, that we have to like vote, for example, right?
It's a rigged game.
Well, this scenario that this person presented, I thought was really interesting because again, I don't think about this shit, so I don't have any reason to have an opinion really deeply on it.
You
but
didn't choose to dive into that in your darkness retreat.
No,
How to fix the
the thing that
electoral
came
college?
through.
He's like,
Came
guys,
up,
Yeah.
I did zero work on myself, but the electoral college.
Oh, we got it figured
Figured it
out.
out.
But what this person was talking about was like just voting in general, right? Let's take like, okay, we want to vote to put an exit ramp on 405, right? Now we have Congress people that we put in office for that, right? And we all have cell phones now. So the way this scenario worked out, this person pitched was, okay, so we want to have a vote to put in this exit ramp. Now you as a voter can defer your vote to your congressperson, allow the congressperson to vote whichever they want to, or you can choose to vote personally. You just have to have the vote in by this day at this time, but you can do it on your app, on your secured phone. We have our fucking credit cards and shit on the phones now. We have secure ways that we can have secure information on the phone.
You're
in
already
a much better way than
you're
like
opening
mail-in
up
votes.
voting, and there's a good portion of the political sphere that's rolling back that kind of
Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
Exactly. That's part of the problem, right?
Yeah.
It's like we're making things harder when we can make things easier. And I get like, one side tends to do better when voters don't show up, and one side tends to do better when voters do show up. But what happens when we just make voting easy?
Right.
And it might work out the best way for the other side,
Well,
whoever other side.
There is
that
a
might be.
reason why it's complicated.
Absentee voting
There is a reason why
got
it's complicated.
shit on in 2020 because of fucking MAGA dickheads, but it was like there was never an issue with that. Never really still is an issue with that, and we've been doing that here for fucking 30 years or so.
Yeah.
Well, we've been
Probably
voting
longer.
the same way for hundreds of years now.
Yeah.
Either fucking walking our ass to a fucking poll and putting our thing in, or
Hanging
mailing in a
chads,
ballot.
bro.
Right?
There's a
Hanging
reason
chat.
why it's not. It could be as simple as one person, one vote. Whoever gets the most wins. The reasons why tax is complicated, voting's complicated, insurance is complicated. There is a reason why they're all complicated.
Right.
It's to keep us intimidated, dumb. It does not benefit us, which benefits the people it's supposed to benefit. So that it is a it is a red flag for the reason why it is so difficult, and it's not. The reason is because it keeps people disenfranchised and it keeps people in a box.
I think that's really it. It's like let's be like just even on the liberal side of this, right? Maybe 10% of all Republicans have the understanding of like the Trumpers, right? It's not everybody, right? As in the same about 10% of Democrats are like the fuck everybody. This is it's like there's this 80% in the middle that just is like, man, we're just kind of playing the game here.
Well, and that's the other thing.
That are actually pro-abortion and all that. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like most of the country is now not Republican and they're not Democrat. They're farther in the middle, or farther one way, farther the other way, or in the middle. And the fact that we only get two choices for these two major parties, we're supposed to have more options
Right.
than these guys that just won't die.
Right.
You know?
Dude, both candidates are 8,000 fucking years old.
Well, don't get me started on the fucking
Obama's still younger than that.
Yeah, I know. It's just insane. Considerably younger.
20-some years out of fucking office.
There's no term limits for, there's no term limits for senators. It's a lifetime appointment for Supreme Court. Like, it's all fucking, it is meant to be
RBG,
defeating.
Cool, great woman, but
we need to be rotating that shit.
Yeah,
we need to be rotating that shit.
Well, and
it doesn't benefit anybody.
And
we agree. We throw these fucking people in homes at this age, and we have no
Right.
problem fucking doing it.
Take their license away.
We literally shuffle them into fucking assisted living places with fucking guilt-free. I watch fucking blonde moms just drive their RDX like, later fucking mom and dad, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, these fuckers are running.
I live
our
right
countries.
by a shag, dude.
Yeah.
Joe Biden deserves a relaxing retirement.
Yes, let him
Dude,
fall asleep in
fucking
comfort.
shag, dude.
Go let Mitch
Shag.
McConnell
Senior
sit
housing
on a
assistant
porch
group.
somewhere with sweet tea. Let him live out his days away from everyone, please.
Sounds like we're putting him out the pasture.
Yes! Put him out to pasture, please. Dear God.
And then watch
The
me
man
vote for him.
can't
Watch
function.
me
His
vote for him
brain.
in fucking September, November, whatever it is.
Well, and that's like, the whole thing I wanted to talk about today is just, it's just being okay with slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
See,
just slowing down in life in general. Like, so I'm
it
part.
sucks because it goes down to money. Well, like the
It
immediately,
is,
the immediately, like when
It's a privilege thing being able to slow down.
When you brought that up, I immediately thought of money, and I'm like, well, fuck, that's what I said with the other thing too. But it's just like at the end of the day, yeah, it's a privilege that is defined by people. When you meet the fucking guys in their 40s and 50s that come in and get their fucking day buzz on because I'm still in the restaurant.
Right.
Just, I'm retired. I'm like, fucking cool, bro.
Yeah.
Well, and I get that, but there are definitely ways like you can find to do your own ways of slowing down.
Yeah.
Like find your
Gotta
ways
fucking
to like,
read more, bro.
unplug some or just
Drink
whatever
4 bottles
it
of
is.
wine on a Monday.
Yeah.
Fucking A.
I'm part of a teacher
4
training.
bottles.
Yeah, dude. I felt bad. It actually kept me up last night where I was like, they're either going to be really hungover today or I killed that poor man.
Well, no, but I mean,
because he couldn't stand because they were sitting the whole time. And as soon as he stood up, he couldn't stand up straight. And I was like, oh my God, I'm just
4
glad.
bottles. So
2 each. And it
here's
was
the
a
fucking
big
thing, though.
ABV bottle
That
too.
that is not, well, it's actually your fault, but like, it's
I
not
overserved.
really, but it's also not really. I mean, how many times? I mean, you and I don't fucking drink anymore, and we also, when you and I drank together, it was usually at someone's house.
Yeah.
But it's like, I never once got fucking ham-boned at a bar and then blamed anyone except for my fucking self.
All right, I'll tell you the quick story real quick because this is the level of like alcoholism or just like okay. Just tell the story. So I was working at Jillian's, and down the street there was a bar that we used to drink at, and we were pretty much regular there. They would come and drink at our bar when they got off, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And so me and my chef were at that bar drinking, and at that point in time, I drank a lot of Captain Morgan's. Right? I was just drank a lot of Captain and Sprite.
What an Captain mixed.
Yeah.
What a dick.
I hope mixed.
No, separate. I like to have my Captain. I like the pure
I
taste.
Sprite chaser?
That's a very good point.
Yeah,
I was like, I made
hope
him
it's
sound
not-
even
Well,
worse.
that's actually probably not a bad little beach drink, though.
Yeah, only on private stock I would drink it separate.
Yeah.
Oh,
God.
private stock. That shit isn't even really that much better.
No,
I think it was like
not at all.
harsher,
Not at all.
if I remember
So,
correctly.
so me and my chef are sitting there. We polished off at least like a half bottle of Captain, and ordered another round, and they were out. And so I'm like, well, that won't do because at that time I'm like, that's all I drink. I don't drink beer. I don't drink Bacardi.
Oh, I hate that. It's like,
Ugh.
as a guy who drank Jameson like pretty much exclusively, it's like, no, I could switch gears real fucking easily.
Yeah.
Well, I would have if I wasn't down the street from the bar that I worked at. So I called. I'm like, hey, do you guys cool if I just like bring a bottle over, and when you get your liquor order, you'll bring it back? And he was like, yeah, that's fine. So I had one of the
Super
bussers
illegal.
go in the liquor room, get a
my
bottle of Captain, and run it
God.
over to the bar we were at.
Oh
and give
my
it to them.
God.
It sat there, and then we drank pretty much the entire bottle of that. Right, 2 guys. So to answer, so it's like when you find your place to drink at, like, and you're not causing a big scene. Which
No, they
we weren't.
couldn't have been
career
nicer.
drinkers. Yeah.
And the one that was ordering, he showed no sign, which shocked me.
Right.
Zero signs of being
yeah.
intoxicated. The other one was very polite, and until he stood up, I did not know. But it was like they're
Probably
polite.
didn't either until he stood up.
Exactly.
Tough.
But the thing with like over serving, it's like you're a grown up.
Yeah.
I don't know
yeah,
what you can handle. I could drink a bottle of wine by myself, no problem.
Washington state liquor laws are bullshit, but it is funny because I was just thinking about this. Like anyone who is a drunk or like an ex-drunk or has like definitely like gotten hammered more than once and on purpose.
Right.
You know, I guess not like gotten hammered on purpose. I guess
Like it was his job.
but it's always funny because having done restaurants long enough, you can always tell someone when they're like, if they're on their fourth, and I'm like, okay, well, shit, what do you want me to tell you? I could have half a bottle and you probably wouldn't fucking notice.
Yeah. And I don't want to go up to a table and be like, I think it's too much, because maybe drinking a bottle of wine by myself is too much for somebody else. But like, I drank half a bottle of wine last night after I got off of work, and I wasn't, but it wasn't.
Aperitif.
I was sitting on my couch, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, the bottle's half gone, and I didn't feel drunk, but it was
trying
like
to get my beak wet.
Yeah.
Be more concerned if I polish off an entire pint of Haagen-Dazs or
Right,
fucking
yeah.
Jerry's. Like a bottle of wine, I'm fine.
Dude,
Yeah.
bought a
Things are
huge
good.
box of fucking drumsticks today at Costco.
Whoa.
Big box. I only, and again, I will fucking buy some bullshit at Costco, but I'm usually pretty disciplined when it comes to frozen treats.
Yep.
It's got to be mega sale. Like they got to have that second coupon on
Now,
it.
does
That's a big
Costco, is it the mix pack with like the caramel and the chocolate?
caramel
and
fudge
Yeah.
and vanilla. So yeah, I got a big fucking box of that, and that was actually smaller than the mega box variety pack that got the ice cream.
yeah.
That wasn't on sale. I was kind of
Okay.
hoping about that.
I wish everyone listening to this at home could see the twinkle in your eye as soon as you started talking about these frozen treats. Your eyes lit up. The mega sales, guys.
Mega
It's
sale.
caramel fudge and vanilla.
Mega sale
eyes were
on
like
the frozen
tractor
treats.
beans. Oh my
Fucking
god.
frozen treats.
Oh man, that AI podcast I was listening to, I was talking about earlier about law stuff. They also had a part in there where they were talking about personalized ABVs and personalized like drink limits and stuff like that. I'm like, man, that is.
See that's something that like I kind of, it's like, okay, yeah, 0.08, like I understand, like believe me, we need to have some fucking barometer, but
But there's
like,
not one for weed.
dude,
Right.
yeah, no, and I
There's
used to
nothing for weed.
I mean, I used to, back in the glory days, I would get up in the morning and the first thing I would do is blow a breathalyzer after a night of fucking whatever the hell.
Yeah.
That shit was always like pretty
Still up
goddamn,
there.
well, like very up there.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I mean, again, your boy may have had an issue with it, but like,
But you assume after you sleep it off, you're all right.
well,
Right?
yeah.
Totally.
That's the other thing is,
Yeah.
watch servers hit the wall at like fucking noon. You're like,
Oh, man.
yeah.
I fucking hated that. God. And having to be the person like managing people and like hitting that wall and then
Well,
having
not just
to deal
that,
with the rushes
making
and shit.
drinks. Like I had to make a bunch of gin martini batch because we batch our
Fucking hate
martinis,
gin.
and
Yeah.
I fucking hate gin too. And I wasn't even hungover, but like I was like, how do bartenders, like going out for a night and then coming back into the bar and like just smelling like
All day,
the
every
gin?
day.
I was like, huh.
Yeah,
If I was
it's-
hungover, this would be the end of it.
Yeah, it's,
I can't handle it. I can't handle the smell.
yeah.
Ugh.
No, I'm not a fan. But so stopping drinking for me has like kind of helped me slow down because like I think drinking towards the end of it was like part of a job.
Yeah.
It was like a job.
Well,
you
it
know, like, I had
consumes
to,
so
like,
much
hey,
time because that's what you do.
Yeah,
Right,
I mean,
you
it
know?
was all planned out in my head. You know,
It's
like,
also like equivalent in your brain as your release time.
Right.
So if I don't do this, I don't get to have me time or relax or
yeah.
So it's
Well,
like associated with that.
I heard something the other day. It was they called it ADHD time,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's like say I have an appointment at 2:00, and it takes me 2 hours to get there. And so at noon, I got to start getting ready, which means, or I have to leave. So
Welcome
which
to my
means-
brain.
Right. At 10:00, I got to start getting ready, which means I have to get up at 8 because it takes me at least an hour and a half to get my head straight.
Mm-hmm.
And so fuck, I got to be up by 7:00 to be somewhere by 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Meanwhile, while you've done that, I'm already just at the appointment doing whatever the fuck you gotta do.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's, I found myself towards the end of my drinking, that was how my drinking was, but just the other way around.
Oh, just like trying to
Yeah,
squeeze
like,
it in.
Yeah, figuring out like when I can start drinking. Okay, so I get off work at this time. I'll
Yeah.
have a
And when
shot
you're gonna
a
have to
drink.
stop because you have to go to bed, kind
Exactly.
of thing.
Yeah.
I
It's like
mean-
how much can I squeeze in during that time?
Yeah.
And it was very calculated about like, man, but it took up so much brain space.
Totally.
To like hold that information of like, okay, now like check mark, get a drink, check mark, get a drink there, because I didn't know how long that would take, and
Yeah.
what the second scenario would be, so I need to make sure to get a couple drinks in while I can. Fuck, man.
Yeah. That's interesting.
But it's just but it's things like that like when somebody says, I remember when I quit smoking. I quit smoking when cigarettes were like $7.50.
Ugh,
Right.
God,
Double that
God
now.
bless.
Right, yeah, right. But I remember one of the arguments people would always say, especially my mom. She would like, think of all the money you'd save. You're gonna
I
save.
hate that.
I hate that too.
And I thought it would, but I saw none of it. I don't
Sure.
remember seeing any of it, right? But it's more the time that was saved because
Yeah.
of how much like time like you delineate to go out and smoke a cigarette. Okay, I'm gonna get this
5
table done,
minutes.
and I'm gonna go run out and smoke a
Yeah.
cigarette.
Right.
And, like all this time that was just taken up by this habit that you have.
Do you
Yeah.
remember that joke where the guy's like, "Oh, you smoke a pack a day, and if you quit, that's $10 a day. 52, that's 52 grand a year, whatever.
Right, right, yeah,
5,200 bucks a year, blah 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 blah. You could have a Ferrari in 10 years or whatever." The guy's like, "Oh, do you smoke?" He's like, "No, I don't." He's like, "Where's your Ferrari?"
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like-
That's always in the back of my brain. That's always my argument where people are like, "Oh, you'd save so much money." I was like, "Yeah, but if you add up all the little shit I buy every day, like,
Oh, dude, people
like
fucking
that money could come from like if I didn't buy, I don't know, I buy stupid little dog treats, or I'll buy."
I thought you were about to say dots. I'm like, good on
Or
ya.
yeah, or you know,
Dots.
like the
coffee,
old
man,
adage
you know?
coffee fucking thing. It's the
Yeah.
same. It's this. Well, coffee is about as expensive as a pack of cigarettes these days. So if you're buying coffee on a regular basis and you're given that argument of
Yeah.
like you could be saving this kind of money, it doesn't add up because it's that. It angers me when older people say if you don't buy coffee every day, you could have a 401k. Fuck you. Like
Oh, the older people,
you can't.
they're living in a fucking bubble.
Yeah,
They're living in a whole fucking delusional kind of
gas.
place.
Like Jesus Christ, somebody spent on gas.
I always used to say, we were talking about how you drank Captain Morgan's. You know, I'll call liquor. I drank JMO and shit, but it was just like, I always used to say, like, the day I'm ordering well because I can't afford the extra $1.50
Yeah.
or whatever,
Right, yeah.
is when I fucking quit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, the fact I could afford to drink is probably why you know what I'm saying? But
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
it's like when you need to save money and now you're just, believe me, I was drinking to get fucked up. Like when you just are like, okay, now I need to drink shitty ass well
Yeah.
for $5 or $6,
Yeah.
save $2 here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
It's dire. It's dire,
dire,
straits.
dude. Fucking Mark Knopfler, bro.
Well, okay, so I don't want to poo-poo the whole fucking idea of slowing down just because it's, like you have to be in a situation to where you can't appreciate the slow down.
No, but you're right. There are degrees of what we can prioritize for what works for your situation.
Right, right.
And what that looks like could be different to everybody. Yeah.
Well, I think part of it is, so what I was alluding to earlier is I'm part of a teacher training right now, and one of the parts is it's like somatic stuff that one of the lead trainers wants to talk about, and so we did a practice the other day, which kind of triggered me to think about this a little bit more, and so we have these 12 people that are in the training with us, and so Marianne got us in there, and she's like, okay, so let's all just take a moment and just look around this room for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and it's just 12 by 12 room, mirrors, fucking paintings and shit like that, and it's just like nice and slow, and just took all around, like look behind you, look at the walls, look at the ceiling, look at the floor, you look at each other, like all that shit, and one of the things it does is it allows your body to get oriented and you start to feel safe because you've seen around, right? And subconsciously, like if you don't know what's behind you, you're scared of what might be behind you.
Or you're thinking about it.
Right. And so you create this like safety within your own personal brain and your own personal space to be like, okay, I feel like looking at people now.
Did I
You
bring
know?
up this? I always get confused on what conversations I have here versus elsewhere. There's the train station in Japan that just fucking exists. There's no way to get on. Like it literally exists solely for you to get off
Okay.
in a nature-esque spot on the train
Oh, I
track
don't think so.
and fucking chill.
Cool.
and then wait for the next train and get back on.
Yeah.
Like
Love
there's no fucking like, oh, you're getting off here and people are meeting you. There's no way to get to this platform.
Right. It's only
unless you're
access for the train.
only accessed by, like, if you're going from here to here, you can stop at this fucking platform and just like take it in for 9 minutes or whatever the fuck, and then get on the next
I
train.
fucking love that, man.
Yeah, Japan's got some cool shit.
Yeah, they do.
Well, there's I just read about a competition this woman started like maybe 5 years ago, but this, you know, Japanese culture is very go, innovate, what's next, you know, things like that. Cool shit like what you just talked about. But that comes from a lot of like thinking and processing and doing. And so this woman apparently had, she was on the fast track to whatever thing she was doing and fucking climbing ladders and making money and doing all the shit. She was 25 and had a nervous breakdown and a panic attack and like almost died because of all the stress that she was under.
Yeah.
So she got out of what she was doing, but she started this quote unquote competition. I think they call it like the Space Out or something like that. But for 90 minutes, contestants sit and do nothing. And they wear heart monitors and they can't go to sleep. So there's like a couple requirements. You can't go to sleep. You can't move. But you just like sit there and space out. And the person that meets all the different qualifiers for like relaxation wins. And so in the whole like culture of Japan, that's like do, go.
Yeah.
In the center of, I can't remember what it is. I don't know if it's Tokyo, but it's center of one of these major cities. She stages this fucking yearly space out fucking competition.
I would feel that so miserably. My heart rate would never come down.
So would those monks who were doing that crystal meth.
I heard about that.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, they had to evacuate the entire monastery, right?
Yeah,
Did they do it on purpose?
Yeah, they couldn't afford wine, so they were doing tweak.
Well, somehow it got in from what I heard, somehow it got in from the outside village that was right near it. It kind of just made its way through the monastery.
Was it like I didn't hear about the story. Is it like an offering or like you said instead of wine?
Yeah.
Okay, so was that like their personal thing or was it part of like a ceremony or ritual? Or like
my understanding was it was like, okay, now we'll just do this.
we can't do wine, but this is the thing.
Yeah, we'll just do tweak.
Two very different experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
That was in the Himalayas too, right? Somewhere.
How do they get it up there?
It was from what I read, it came in from an outsider in the town, and then it just kind of like all the monks were like, not speaking to each other, just like
let's pray.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like that opening scene in Ace Ventura 2 when Ace leaves the monastery and all the monks go fucking have a big party.
Yeah.
It's like all that, but 24 hours a day.
Yeah, just fucking monks not talking to each other, just fucking high as a motherfucker. That's great.
Dude, how fucking crazy would that be to be out like so much and still to be like aware of your religious like
just waiting for toast.
Shit.
Just like you just whole line of people waiting for toast, not talking.
That shit is still the best thing ever.
But you imagine if all those people were tweaking.
Fucking toast line at a Vipassana retreat.
It's so bad, man.
It's the best goddamn thing I've ever heard in my entire life. You haven't seen frustration until you've seen someone miss out on the last bagel and they can't talk.
Oh, man. But yeah, I think, man, I'm trying to slow the fuck down.
I think a lot of it is like a
You're slowing
mental.
the fuck down, though, aren't you?
I mean, it's still like, as much as I think I am, I still mentally am not.
That's what I was just gonna say. I feel like slowing down for me doesn't have to do with activity, like physical activity or events or whatever. It has to do with like how I'm treating my brain.
Right.
So it's like it's a state of mind slowing down rather than like. Because I do what you were describing, like planning out. Okay, so like even on my days off, I was like, okay, so Wednesday I got to do this.
Airport like 6 hours early.
I am. I am that person.
Yeah.
And so like today, I had I got this. Okay, and then I have to get home, and then I have the game at this time, and then I have to plan on how I'm going to get to game to here. And I've been thinking about it since last night, and my brain has been going over and over. Which none of it's bad. Clean. None of it's like it's not like doctor's appointments. It's all supposed to be fun. And my brain was like, why don't you just like figure it out and just see how it goes? And like when you get there, decide when you're gonna leave, and when you're walking out the door, like taking
Take
one
strong edible before you go to that bathroom.
Yeah, which is like taking it a day at a time or an hour at a time, because my brain goes so far in the future for so long, and then I spiral out that I'm never quite.
have your storm jersey already laid out?
No, but I did wash the shirt that I'm gonna wear.
Okay,
My
good.
storm
I was
shirt
just
that I
gonna
was
ask
gonna
you.
wear.
Like,
Yeah,
at
yeah,
least
yeah.
you fucking gotta make sure that's dialed in.
Yeah.
That's not even. That's
dialed
not
in.
even. That's not even
Done and done.
in your defense.
Yeah, I had that done 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah.
fucked up.
Had it all set out. But yeah, because like being on my phone or feeling like I need to text people back and not wanting to,
Hate that
or
shit.
yeah, and so I've just given myself the permission to like, I'm just maybe not going to get back to this person right now, or I'm just going to leave that. Like, I don't have any unread emails, I don't have any unread text messages. Even if I do read them, like I'm constantly thinking like, okay, I'm not going to respond right now, but I'll respond tomorrow. I'll have time between 12 and 1 and I'll respond then, and I'll have a better mental capacity to draft this answer for them, or like it's just a constant, my brain's going fast, so slowing down can also just mean like, yeah, I still got to go to work, but like when I'm at work, I'm just going to worry about work, and then when I'm off work, I'm going to worry about that, and then when I'm home, I'm going to worry about that, and that to me has been slowing down recently. So because that's I can't take time off work, I can't take a vacation, but like I can give my brain a vacation by not beating it up so much.
Just being here.
Yeah.
And that's hard, because we're, we talked about it earlier with like insurance and fucking like all this stuff. This is all like future planning stuff. What if? So we're like
taxes
constantly thinking about the future, even though we don't know what the fuck is going to happen, but we can't be here in this fucking moment.
Right.
And it's so difficult. Like I actually had somebody the other day just to talk about like your texting, like I'll respond when I want to. Right?
Yeah.
And I had a friend reach out to me the other day. It was like, hey, did you know you can turn the read function off in your text? So
I never have that.
No.
Well,
never let them know.
No.
Well, here's my thing with that. Fuck you. I'll read it when the fuck I want to, and I'll respond when the fuck I want. I don't care if you saw that I read what you fucking wrote.
It does put the power back in their hands. It shouldn't matter.
I don't fucking... And that was it to me. I'm like, get fucked. I'm not on your schedule. You texted me. I'll get back to you when I can.
So now you read it, set a fucking stopwatch for an hour and 14 minutes or whatever arbitrary time is like a not give a fuck, and then respond. Yeah.
Well, it's just like I'll get
Siri,
back when
remind me to respond to this text message.
It's just fucking. It's that layer of expectation.
I've
too
turned
much
off,
access with text messaging.
Yeah, I've turned off all my notifications for everything. So now I'm on Do Not Disturb always, which I didn't know that like that also means phone calls. But like, who calls me? My mom. I don't really want to talk to you anyway. Leave a message. I'll get back to you. But like, or I won't. But there was a Julia Fox. You guys know who Julia Fox is?
That sounds familiar.
She's not an actress, but she is an actress. She's kind of just like a culture, social icon kind of lady. And people made fun of her because she was I was just Shafty's Mills. Like she had this viral moment where she was in Uncut Gems. Anyway, she used to be a dominatrix. She is in a lot of like circles, but she is just very her own person in such a way where she got dragged for it, and now people have seen like, oh no, she's actually great. But anyway, she had an interview where she was like, yeah, I have all my notifications turned off because like I don't want my phone to tell me when to check it. I will check my phone when I would like to check it. And so I was like, that is a great way of thinking. And so now I'm like, that I've turned off notifications because you don't tell me
like all banners, everything, all that shit,
all done. Yeah. So I know I'm having a podcast with you guys on Wednesday, so I'll probably check on Tuesday night just to make sure we're still on. Like certain things like that I'll keep in my brain. But like as far as like people just getting out, I check my phone when I want to. Right. My phone does not check me when it wants to. And it's no matter how many times I'd say I don't want to be bothered in my brain, I'm going to set my phone down. As soon as I heard that bzz, bzz, or whatever, I had to check it. Yep. So if I take that away, I can leave my phone on a counter all night and not think about it, and then check it in the morning. So that's been really helpful. It just that shit has a chokehold on me. The text messages.
Our friends Tyson and Maria, when they were living in, well, now they're back in Maui, but when that fucking fake missile launch notification went out, they had like probably like a week or two before that started putting their phones on Do Not Disturb when they went to bed because they didn't want all the fucking shit. Mm-hmm. And that was a blissful day to not get fucking blown up on your phone.
Yeah, no shit.
Hey, yo, everyone's gonna die.
Yeah. important.
No one's gonna die.
But like, you know,
JK.
what do people do? What do people do in the 80s? We didn't have fucking that kind of access even when I was growing up. So it's like, hey, I existed without this, you know, full-time access.
I treat text messages like fucking phone calls. I don't text after like 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gave
That's
us the
fucking
Snoogans yesterday.
Yeah, I know. You had a
wow.
fast
The
Snoogans.
late
Yeah,
one.
that was a late one. I was
Late
surprised.
text. I was proud of myself.
But there is a downside because, like, what I was talking about the Northern Lights last week. I have been doing this thing where my phone is on Do Not Disturb all the time, and I fucking miss the Northern Lights because of it. And I've been off social media, and I've been trying to not do it, and so it's like there are those downsides of like, oh god damn it, I was glued to my phone, and I probably would have found out about this. And
most of my doom scrolling's on Reddit and stuff, and it's funny is I'll see like, oh, you spend a lot of time on Facebook, and I realize that the shit on Facebook is I'll be watching like a video of something that's just on there, you know, probably some TikTok-y shit that is not
it's been on
anything
TikTok
you
for a year
posted.
and a half.
No, nobody I know, nothing, you know, and I'm just like, wow, this is just like, wow, this is not even. Back in the day, it was your friends would post shit,
right,
yeah.
and now it's just like none of that. It's just videos by whoever.
That's why I like TikTok because it's nobody I know. So it feels like I'm watching TV and it's not a FOMO, this person did this thing, oh, this person is having a really successful life, I don't feel good about myself. But if I don't know anybody and I don't have a social connection to them, then it's less stressful for me, but I spend more time on it. So it's like a double-edged sword. But that's why I like TikTok is that it's nobody I know. It's no ants in fucking Kansas City ranting about fucking reproductive rights. I don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, I find myself like watching mainly like guitar videos, either like how to rebuild or repair guitars or play riffs. I found myself watching a lot of like plumbing rough ends on like housing designs and shit, which is really peaceful for some reason for me.
Rug cleaning.
Rug cleaning. Oh my god.
Love a rug
Hedge
cleaning.
trimming.
Hedge trimming. Oh, the landscaping guys that go up to random neighborhoods and they'll pick like the most overgrown house and then do it for free, and then their 8-minute video of the fast track of like them cutting I can watch it all day.
Yeah, very satisfying. Yeah. But that's like, you know, slowing down in different ways we got to figure out, you know, and I know that being on social media is not the best for us, but how much of it is actually like doom scrolling, which I get not the best for us. Maybe we can do something better with our time, but how much of it are we guilting ourselves for just passing time?
Yeah.
Right? Like just watching somebody fucking like, you know, 8-minute video of somebody doing a fucking, you know, laundry maintenance or something like that. Like
let me tell you, when I'm on TikTok, my brain's not doing anything. My
my
brain is dead.
We throw at fucking kids.
Yeah.
Like as far as like kids and having to go to school and fucking have a job and have all these activities and somehow squeeze in drugs and you know.
Well, I tell my youngest kid all the time, like I'll talk to her and like, how was school or how was your day? She's like, oh, I was kind of lazy today.
That's what I thought of when you.
Yeah, it's like you can't be take that verbiage out of your fucking vernacular. It's like you're not lazy. You need some recovery time.
Yeah.
From 6 o'clock until 4 o'clock, almost every day that child is moving between school or fucking babysitting or soccer or
and I feel like that's where our mentality comes from because we didn't get that choice growing up of slowing down because it was school to soccer practice because you're not going to have any time where you're not doing anything because that's either unproductive or I don't, you know, have anyone to watch you or I don't have like
syndrome.
Right. So it's like even when you're sitting around, go outside and do nothing, or you can't sit in the house and just watch TV. You have to go outside and find something to do. Find a way to entertain yourself. Go call a friend. And so that gets set in our brains really early in life. And then we're adults doing the same thing, but just with adult activities now. Yeah. So that is ingrained in us in a very young age. So it's hard to break out of.
You ever think you've just like kind of like got it all out of your system, like the extrovertedness, like going out and figuring out what to do. Go out, do something. Go outside, do something. It's like now I'm in my 40s. I'm like, not that I've done all the things, but I don't want to go out and just figure out what to do anymore.
Yeah, I'm burnt out. I'm burnt out for trying to find activities.
Talking to people in social situations.
Yeah.
You know, like, fuck.
Well, it's like when we were walking in, it's like, how you been? And you're like, oh, I'm all right. And it's just like, I kind of feel like I was telling you, I sprint to my fucking days off. You know,
Same.
It's just like literally, all right, we'll just get there. Okay. I'm very cognizant of how many shifts I have left until I hit my days off. Like, okay, this is my Wednesday. This is my Thursday. And I do that all fucking day. Probably about an hour a week of that. And it's just kind of like the problem there is that also a lot of times on my days off, if the weather's good, it's even worse. But like, I feel like I have to just fucking get a bunch of shit done. Otherwise, I've quote wasted my day off.
You have
Right.
2 days to experience joy.
Yeah,
And if you
I'm
waste
doing
those
laundry
joy
and
days,
running
right?
errands too,
Or I have to get this done and this done. Where it's like, because that's how I feel. Like, I mean, I don't work early, but like I do open to close, so I have to be there at noon, which is
Right.
early for me.
Yeah.
And I don't like to do anything before work because I'm not an early riser. I get off late. So the only time I have is after I get off work and nobody's around. And so I feel like the days that I work are really shot. Like I can't go grocery shopping. I can't do this. Like I can't meet up with anybody. Or if people are meeting up, I'm fucking tired. I don't want to go out after work. And so on my days off, it's either, if it's sunny, I feel like I have to do stuff outside. If it's rainy, it's like, okay, well, I have to sleep, but then I'm not going to have time to clean the house or do this or go grocery shopping or whatever. And then I fucking waste my days off by planning it out so I can have the perfect days off because I have to go back to work on Saturday.
Oh my god, it's such a vicious fucking cycle.
It is.
Such a vicious fucking cycle.
I know.
In other news, I was going to teach class the other day at one of the studios, and this woman comes in kind of late. She's one of the regulars, but she comes in kind of late, and she comes hustling in, and she's like, "Hey, do you mind if I take my pager in with me? I'm on call, and my app's not working on my phone, so I have to use my pager." And I'm like,
no, dog.
well, no, I was like, yes, you totally can. Thanks for checking. But can I please see that? Because I haven't seen a pager in
Oh
real
my
life since
God.
like 1999.
Was it the clear kind?
No. It
I
was like
wanted
one of
to-
the black ones. But it was still like
The
the
clear
side.
kind.
You remember the
It
clear
wasn't
ones?
the top ones. It was the side
I
ones.
literally
Yes.
saw on Reddit, and it was somebody posted. It was a photo of Ad Rock and the Beastie Boys, and he had a fucking pager, and it's like, can somebody tell me what this plastic thing is on his fucking belt?
Oh my
and it's just
God.
like, oh shit.
Pagers are like the original text
You had a
message
pager.
alerts.
I know you did. I never had
I
a
did,
pager.
yeah,
I never
totally.
had.
I had a pager, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
I just had it so I could wear it.
Good for you.
It was my dad's pager.
Just an accessory.
Yeah, it was just
Good
like
for
one of
you.
his old pagers.
Was it the top facing or the side one?
It was the side one. Well, I lied. Okay, so
Top facing were always kind of cooler. In
Yeah.
My mind.
Well, when the
'Cause you
the
get a
opaque
message.
blue ones.
Yeah.
That were the side facing ones.
Yeah.
When those came out, that was the shit. That was like the Motorola Razr.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time period.
What was
Yeah.
that called? It was like the Sprint, whatever the fuck.
Oh, shit, I don't remember.
I'll Google it.
But
right
I
now.
had the top facing one. That was more okay. So in my opinion, where I came from, at
You
least,
can only do 420/69 so many times on a top.
Oh, yeah,
facing.
right.
the top facing was more of a doctor or the early.
Yeah, my
doctors.
mom still uses pager because she works at the hospital. Yeah.
The side facing ones were more of the younger generation or that at least in our area that was.
Mine was black, or my dad's was black, and it had the green rounded screen on the front.
Okay.
And I think my sister and I think had one when we would leave the house. Like if we either carried it with us or my dad had it, and I can't remember, but I do remember wearing one that was fully non-functional just so I could wear one.
Yep, good for you.
Yeah.
There you go. We would
the best.
I'd have buddies that would page me at the
Motorola
house
Bravo Express.
Do they still sell them?
just to buzz you with boobs.
Yeah,
You'd be sitting
yeah,
on
I
the
know.
couch watching
Oh,
TV.
80085.
Yeah. Oh man, but that was I appreciated that.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. That was a nice little nostalgic kick. But I also read something. Oh gosh, I'll butcher the study now, but it was they were talking about how the common moniker of like, oh, back in the day things were much slower and better and cheaper and blah blah blah. all that
Oh,
shit.
bullshit! It wasn't.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
that was the point of the study.
The
It's like
PageNet.
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 yeah, the
Yes,
fucking-
with
yes,
the yes,
totally.
yes, 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 yes.
I had the blue one.
Blue one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the more popular one. But yeah, it was the whole idea of the study was like, yeah, that's all bullshit.
No.
And I think one of the things that it was kind of hard for me to wrap my head around, but once you really think about it, is like we're living in one of the most peaceful times ever.
I was just gonna say, like, for as stressful as it is, like, and as nostalgic as I get about the early 1900s, it's like we didn't have any access like we do to like mental health stuff. There weren't conversations about this, like being able to exist as a non-binary person, as a queer person, as a gay person. Like there are so many things that were stressful about living in that time, and the pace was the same. We just didn't have fucking cell phones, but we had other ways. We had fucking pagers. We had
Right.
other shit we had to do.
See, I don't
But
think the pace
it is.
wasn't the same. Early 1900s.
I think so, but it was different. It was just a paper. It was just a paper
The idea of the
version
pace
of
was
it.
the same.
Yes,
Yeah.
the mentality of the go, 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 go. I would
Go,
argue to say it's
build, do
almost
more.
worse because it was this chasing of a American dream, and now people are seeing that is bullshit. So people are now being like, "Oh, I'm going to open my own shop, or I'm going to
Right.
not
Yeah.
do anything, or I'm
Yeah.
gonna like." There's more options now instead of just working a 9 to 5 or doing A, B, and C. I felt like the pace, the mentality of the pace was absolutely the same, if not worse.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. There's I don't know if we talked
Gonna
about this
call in a
before.
mental health day in 1996. That ain't gonna happen.
Oh man.
Yeah.
But there's an argument out there that anybody even a homeless person living today is living better than John D. Rockefeller did.
Yeah.
Because of, and this is the argument, it's because of, we now can cure tuberculosis. We have running water. We have,
Yeah.
no dysentery.
Medical, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
the idea, I get the idea, but, the practicality of it is, get fucked, you're fucking, that's a dumbass argument.
Right.
Because, yes, I get what you're saying.
Everyone's gonna take John D with fucking the potential of getting polio in his fucking huge ass high rise
Right.
Yeah.
over fucking taking a shit in shit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry.
and the counter argument that I love with this is that if you just take because so John D. Rockefeller was living at the top level of his tier of life that they could possibly live at back then because of the money and the status that he had.
Yeah.
So you'd have to assume that if he lived now, he would also be living in that same tier.
Yes.
Right.
And all of those things that come with that knowledge soon enough blanket through civilization, like the internet and the cure for tuberculosis and blah, blah, blah. So that becomes like a standard of living,
Right.
not looked at as a benefit.
Right.
Right. That's your standard of living. Like, we can cure tuberculosis. We can fucking blah, blah, blah. Right.
Right.
There's internet access. It doesn't become like, oh, you're so much better off because you have internet access and fucking John D. Rockefeller didn't.
Which
Well,
is
he
why
would.
boomers' arguments are are a moot point.
Yes.
Because they think because people who are, on in a lower income bracket, if they have a cell phone, oh, well, you have a cell phone. I didn't have a cell. Well, it wasn't invented, fuckface.
Right.
And you need it for a job. You need it to exist in the world these days. I would love to not have a cell phone, but you can't. Realistically,
You can't.
You can't.
No.
All my schedule's on there. All my tax stuff's on there. All my you need it just to exist. So that argument of
You would,
exactly what you're
at
saying, it's
minimum,
the
need
standard
internet
now.
access. You would need internet. You
Yeah.
would need a computer or tablet at your house with internet access to just even exist.
Kids' schools exist solely online now.
Yeah.
Like, you need to email teachers. Kids need access to a computer. So it's such a bullshit argument when they say, "Oh, well, you can't afford a house because you have an iPhone." Fuck you.
Do you remember when people in like the late 80s, early 90s used to use speak and spells as their fucking voicemails?
Oh
Or
my
their
God,
their
speaking spells.
answering machines?
Yeah.
Like, you have reached the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Well, I think it's interesting because as passionate as we're speaking about this right now, there's also, because you got to think about like all the people we're speaking about, like the boomers, let's say, were also the fucking hippies, right? And that wasn't that long ago that mentality changed from peace, love, and free fucking whatever to no fucking MAGA hats and shit like that,
Right.
right?
Yeah, literally the people that like ordered the fucking National Guard at Kent State,
Right.
like, are, yeah.
Yeah. So, not to be like cautionary, but like, what are we doing that? Like, how are we showing up like that?
Oh, I'm
within our
gradually
generation?
becoming a fucking MAGA Republican. Just give me about 30, 40
No, but I
years.
mean, I think it's an honest statement. Like, think about like, the purists, for example. This is something that I'm becoming faced with right now. It's like, there's purists in certain different like areas of medicine, plant medicines, right? Like, no, I do not want any government involvement with plant medicines because if that happens, then, they're going to change the way it's been received and blah, blah. Okay, buddy, guess where it came from?
Right.
Not from your buddy Frank down the street that fucking grew this in his shoebox. This started happening in the fucking Amazon.
Yeah.
So how do you think they felt about you doing the same thing to what you're saying that they're doing to you?
Yeah.
Right? It's this cycle. So, and the only reason I say that is just be careful of where you stake your fucking where you plant your stake, right?
It's the
And
same with like
where you make your stand. Because
totally.
we might be countering the mentality of what we were just championing.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, there was a stand-up that I saw on TikTok who was like doing crowd work, and he was talking about like the gentrification of Brooklyn, basically. And then he had mentioned, he had said a gay joke, but it wasn't like homophobic. But he was a straight man commenting on gay experience, and then there were two lesbians sitting in the front, and they're like heckling him, basically like, I didn't like that fucking joke, and they started talking to him, and he was like, oh yeah, where do you guys live? And they're like, Brooklyn. And they're like, oh, how do you feel about displacing black communities? You know what I mean? It's just like,
Right, yeah.
everyone has something like, you think you're championing for this one thing, but you're also fucking living in Brooklyn, and it is all a...
I heard a really interesting story. I've started listening to Dave Chappelle. So Dave Chappelle, Talib Kweli, and Yasin Bey, which formerly known as Mos Def, did a podcast run a couple years ago called The Midnight Miracle. Just like maybe 8 or 9 episodes. It's really well done. There's a beautiful story about Robin Williams being on there. Yeah, just really good stuff. But there's one of the episodes I listened to recently, because Dave Chappelle has said some pretty, and I don't know what exactly it is because I don't follow his career anymore, but apparently he had said some pretty disparaging things about transgender community and things like that within his act.
set, yeah.
Yeah,
And,
I saw it.
So they had brought this up on the show because Dave was at playing somewhere in say New York or something, and a bunch of the transgender community showed up to protest.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying, like all these these people, he said white people were out there, protesting his, transgender people were protesting his show. And so he was like, they were throwing things, and so he was like not going to go out there, and decided to go out there. And this is just his story, right? So he says he goes out there, and he's like, there's these white people protesting my show. And he said, and this is where I fucked up. And he said, this is where I fucked up. He said, I said, look, ma'am. And then the person was like, how do you know I'm a ma'am? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, fuck. And so Betty goes, and he looks, and he says, it took a second, I look around. Everybody's screaming at me. I look around, and he goes, let me ask you a question. Are all y'all white? And they're like, yep. He's like, okay, fuck you. You can't say shit to me. And he turned back around and went inside. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
That is the problem with making enemies.
Yeah.
I feel like, or demonizing other, like it is all a fucking spectrum. And that is not to say that like I agree with anything fucking Dave Chappelle said in his, transphobic shit. And that is not to say that like the two lesbians maybe had a point at the comedy show, but it's just like if you are going to find something that someone has done, whatever soapbox that you are on,
there's always somebody more miserable.
Well, and there's always something that you're doing to contribute to maybe a problem that you haven't thought about, or like it's just like that's the problem with screaming into the void and at people and not think. Yeah, it's just I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
I don't want to open this can so late in the conversation.
I know, right?
But I just want to maybe plant this seed. Maybe we can talk about it later. But this is one of the issues that I think this is one of the byproducts of people thinking that they need to have a platform and that they need to be able to speak from their platform and that people need to follow their platform.
Yeah.
Because subconsciously that makes people feel like they've got it figured out and you should follow me because I got it figured out.
Yeah.
Read the books that I've read, do the workouts that I've done, listen to the podcasts that I've listened to, right? Ingest the information because look at me, clearly I figured it out.
Right.
And so this is, I think, one of those byproducts of everybody feeling they need to have a platform. And the reason this is like really fresh with me is because I get that question asked from me a lot. Why haven't you created a platform for yourself? Why aren't you branding yourself as Adam Real, this Reiki master, this podcast host, this blah sound healer, blah, blah? And I'm like, I don't fucking have shit figured out.
Right.
If anything, please let me hold space for you and let me help you figure you out.
Right.
I'll champion that. But
I'm still working on me.
Don't look to me to think that I've got anything figured out.
Yeah.
Like, take me off whatever fucked up pedestal you think I should be on.
Yeah.
But I think that is where people feel like people are, right? You're out in the open. Clearly, you've created a platform for yourself. So clearly, you feel like you figured it out, even if that person's not saying that they have. That's the kind of ideology that we put behind these people that are speaking out.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've seen, at least, is like, whatever you say, if somebody like perceives what you've said as ignorant, and then starts to dial into you or sort of like to respond to what they feel is ignorant, and it's usually aggression.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how you feel about what you've really said, if you're not really clear on it, if you're
Yeah.
not done some fucking work on yourself, you're going to lean into that because somebody just yelled at you and
Yeah.
just attacked your ego.
Right.
So whether you believe in what you actually fully said or not, you're going to lean into that and go back and lean into your ignorance.
Because you're not going to tell me I'm an invalid human, or
Exactly.
it, like
think
it becomes
Aussie
a
man called it a fuck you, nah fuck you, nah fuck you.
yeah.
I've been watching a lot of him lately.
I need to
love it,
dust
man.
off more Aussie man. I haven't seen the guy in years.
He's very active on social media.
Still?
Yeah, he puts out content a lot.
Yeah.
It's really funny. I love that guy.
Yeah, I mean, I respect people that are. If you are confident in your stance, go for it. I think we need to have more I don't knows in the conversation, or
Yeah.
oh, let me think about that. Oh, I didn't consider that. Okay, like, but if you don't know everything, you're considered dumb. And this kind of makes me feel like I'm defending like MAGA folks or whatever, but it's just like, or it's that same argument of like, we just need to listen to each other and we need to blah, blah, blah. And there are certain circumstances where I do feel it's black and white, but like, I trying to convince someone to follow your exact train of thought is like it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
Yeah. Well, I think that's part of the answer.
Yeah.
Is admitting that we don't have an answer.
Yeah.
Admitting that we need to like think tank this out or get smarter people involved.
Mm-hmm.
People that are below the age of fucking 65. Like
Yeah.
get the retirement age. Like that should. Yeah. Okay. Again, not opening a whole can of worms, but yeah.
Well, we got
so-
topics for next week then.
Yeah, we do. So, well, stay tuned for next week. I'll try to release these sequentially.
Yeah. I'll try to.
I'll try.
Maybe see you in a month. Maybe see you next
Yeah,
week.
exactly.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. See you next time.